Pre-nerf versus post-nerf. Now, this has been debated to death. It's not even high-quality rage bait anymore. Everyone that has rage baited this or been rage baited is over the rage bait at this point. But overall, my boy Jody, writer at Wowhead, great guy, made this article, and I wanted to deep dive it because I've done videos on this and I've discussed it in depth in stream. But he showed the major differences between the pre-nerf versus the post-nerf. For example, while post-nerf refers to the state of the raid after receiving changes that reduces overall difficulty, one example plays I've seen on the PTR Tier 4 raids includes Nightbane from Karazhan dealing significantly less melee damage to the tanks, while his intermission phase also drastically reduces the health of his Restless Skeleton adds and damage from a Searing Cinders debuff. Now, Nightbane is one of the few bosses in my opinion that needed some post-nerf changes. But the fact that the entirety of Karazhan is post-nerf, in my opinion, is an overreaction, is an overstep. Same thing, for example, Magtherodon with the cube clicking. The pug-breaking Manticron cubes. Now, these cubes absolutely demolish the average pug. It's like the meme, giving hot Cheetos to a medieval peasant and watching them obliterate themselves, right? The issue is, it wasn't that the cubes were difficult, but one person could quite literally brick your run, brick your raid, brick your entire experience. And it did make the experience overall drastically, worse for a lot of pug guilds and pug communities. Now, should all of Karazhan have gone post-nerf? Should all of Gruul and Mag be post-nerf? No. I do think certain things, for example, Netherspite and Nightbane, should be somewhat post-nerf. But the devs, to make life easier for everybody, just the whole thing is post-nerf. And then the issue becomes, post-nerf for all the raids is one thing, but they then did pre-nerf heroics. So now the heroics are harder than the raids. And across the board, I should clarify that I am personally pro post-nerf. I've run many pugs on the stream, right? I've done it on stream, I've done it off stream and other people's streams. I think I'm at like 8 Karazhans, 5 Gruuls and Mags so far, several streamers, several good players, several bad players. And across the board, I have to comfortably say that the people on the PTR are a step above the sweatier players in comparison to non-PTR enjoyers. And I will say that based on the quality of the player base declining since 2019 and 2021 to now, I think post-nerf was the right smart decision for the player base. Because based on what I've seen, nobody is clearing, aside from the sweaty guilds, pre-nerf SSC and TTK. Everybody's getting touched by Vaj and Kael'thas. Now, let's keep reading what Jody said here, right? Benefits of post-nerf raids. There are several factors should be considered when discussing PvE content difficulty in Classic WoW. In regards to the anniversary servers, the biggest factor to consider is that these servers may be on an accelerated release cadence, meaning that players won't have as much time as they did back in 2006 or 2021. And this is true. Realistically put, TBC is lasting 12 months. Same thing as Anniversary. Anniversary launched November 30th, if I remember correctly, 2024. And it is effectively ending January 13th, 2026. 13 months and a bit. That's about what it is. So assuming TBC is the same, let's just say 13 months and a bit, let's say 13 months and 2 weeks, right? That means that TBC Anniversary will be over in what? Very late February, very early March 2027. We know Classic Plus is getting announced at BlizzCon. Are they going to announce Classic Plus and go into Wrath Anniversary? Whatever the case, if they are going to do Wrath Anniversary, TBC is not going to last anything more than 13 months. So at an accelerated cadence, making raids post-nerf lets people clear content faster, smoother, easier, lets everybody dive into things and just get on with their life and get ahead of the curve, ahead of schedule to actually get to experience more and more content. Because if you guys look at the analytics and the player numbers and the post-nerf numbers and the pre-nerf numbers of all that shit, back in 2021, GDKPs and people running on alts kept the player base healthy and thriving and like just popping off. If you remove GDKPs and alts from the equation, 2021, 2022 did not have as big a play number as it looks like. We don't have GDKPs. Most people aren't running multiple alts. Especially if it's pre-nerf, they're not running that many alts. So right off the rip, I think post-nerf is the right decision here. And I think they did the correct call. I think they overdid the nerfs. I think they should have done post-nerf, but not, Wrath pre-patch post-nerf. Or the last patch before Wrath pre-patch post-nerf. Another aspect to consider is what Blizzard wants from these servers. Are these anniversary servers meant to be a trip back to 2006 for players to experience the content as it was back then? Or is this more of a, let's go back and relive some memories with our friend situation, where Blizzard simply wants people to log in and have fun engaging in quote-unquote soda and pretzel content? You guys can quite literally see when the next phases drop, and then how the player number climbs back up, and then continues to drop, and then up, and then drop, and then up, and then drop every time a new thing drops. Ulduar had a huge impact. The ICC was rather stable, but post-ICC, Wrath was over. Cataclysm never really recovered, and even MOP is not doing that hot, all things considered. MOP is starting on a drastically lesser, a hill. Now, if you look at the negatives of pre-nerf raids, right? What are the negatives? Are the raids that hard? No. I cleared it back in 2021 with no issue. We had the Pugger bunch, my guild, there was a lot of drama in it and all that stuff. I wasn't even a content creator back then, this was just regular guild drama. So a lot of things happened back in 2021, and I still, despite not having a great guild and a great community, cleared Gruul, Mag, Kara easily. We didn't struggle. We cleared Nightbane, we cleared Mag, we cleared Gruul. Yes, you had to pay more attention. Yes, raid leading had to be more important. Yes, clickers for the orbs had to do things correctly. But I do think that while the raid mechanics across the board weren't too hard, player responsibility is something people don't want to take accountability for, and don't want to feel like they have to do something correctly or everything's on them. Not clearing a raid because somebody's DPS isn't good versus not clearing a raid because somebody misclicked the cube is two different things. Now, as I'm just scrolling through, you can see all the things Jerdy has talked about, right? A potential compromise, nerf some of it, not all of it, as I've been saying. You can see how with the pre-nerf versions of things, SSC and TTK was genuinely nightmare fuel for a lot of guilds and communities. People were stuck on progression for weeks, if not months. In my personal opinion, you look at all of this, and I do think my boy Jerdy has a valid point in that there should be some nerfs, not all nerfs. Now, at this current point, if it was up to me, I would personally say just go full post-nerf and let it rip. It's the second time around for Classic, third time around for TBC Total. Nobody's here for the difficult content. They're here for the friends, community, getting yourself a Warglaive, getting to kill Illidan all over again, doing all that content, going to TBC. They can experiment with, harder versions of pre-nerf servers in TBC era if they do that. But as it stands right now, I think we should be looking at post-nerf as the right decision. I understand from a difficulty perspective, but I want hard content, I want this, I want that, and I get it. If you're a good player, you don't want everything to be easy, super smooth, no difficulty, no stress. It takes the fun out of the game for people competing and trying. But good players will always find challenges to do. Speed running, optimal composition, doing things as fast as possible. There are different ways to get difficulty. Same thing in Classic. The difficulty in Classic is being full world buff, full consumed, speed running. We have under 40-minute Nax Ramesses. We can do speedruns in TBC for the sweatier, more hardcore players. They'll be able to figure out a way to have their hardcore, sweaty gameplay. Casual players cannot get casualer. So making the raids easier, more accessible makes it so that they won't clear the content immediately or fast, but it'll give them the ability to potentially clear it. Sunwell, even post-nerf, is going to kill a lot of guilds. Black Temple, even post-nerf, is going to be hard. Hyjal, going to touch a bunch of guilds. SSC and TTK pre-nerf, I can tell you right now, 6 to 7 out of 10 guilds aren't clearing pre-nerf SSC and TTK. Not the Classic players, it's just not happening. We can see this in Mr. Pandaria now. If I bring up Ironforge Pro, and I go to demographics, and we go to Mr. Pandaria. Mr. Pandaria went from, 3 raids to Throne of Thunder, supposedly one of the best raids of all time. And Throne of Thunder is stuck at 95,000 average players. It's been 2 weeks of Throne of Thunder. It hasn't been popping off. It hasn't really been blowing up. Everybody was saying Throne of Thunder is one of the 5 best raids ever made. People put Siege of Orgrimmar, Throne of Thunder in a lot of their top 5s. You can knock off Siege of Orgrimmar if you want. It's a very hard, very long raid. But TOT is supposedly top 5 raids of all time, and a lot of people did not come back to experience that. Now, I know Mr. Pandara not exactly classic or retail, but just across the board, hard raids are not classic. Classic always been about the community, the people you play with, how you play, what you do. And just looking at everything, we saw this in SOD as well. And overall, when the raids were too difficult, people could not clear or do the content because the casual player base for Classic is a casualer player base in other versions of the game. I don't think Classic WoW should be hard. I don't think it should be super easy. But the whole point of Classic from the beginning of it has been community, guilds, and running content together. And I don't think hard raids is that. But there needs to be some compromise, because doing pre-nerf heroics, post-nerf raids is just dumb as shit. They need to do some changing and some balancing in regards to that.